You're listening to Not My Usual Read, a couples book exchange podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Charlie.
And today we're going to be talking about part 2 of our Salem's Lot book buddy book that you chose.
Yes, the journey of Salem's Lot.
Yes, it's come to a close.
Yes, and definitely go check out last week's if you haven't already. This is part 2, so we will be talking about the ending, some spoilers that happened. So if you don't want to know those, or if you missed the first part, definitely go back. And Jenny mentioned buddy book, so this is, instead of swapping books, I got to pick a book this week that we both read and are now talking about.
Yes, we are. We've been in it for 2 weeks, and it's been good, but
it has been good. Before we get to all that, why don't we talk about what's been going on lately?
Yeah, so what's happening, Charlie?
Well, so we had some mishaps last week.
Yeah, some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
We're trying to start
Forgot to talk about some things.
videotaping parts of our episodes so we can broadcast it on different platforms to have more reach. Super excited about those future things that we're going to be doing. But within that,
so last week we recorded our episode on audio and video.
it was so good.
And it was really good. Yeah, first time through it was awesome. And for some reason Jenny's microphone turned off. I don't know if we unplugged it while we were testing the audio or something.
And at that point, it was like
yeah, we did it on Monday night, so it was already
10:30.
late. Yeah. So then we're like, okay, let's just push on. We kind of know what we're going to talk about. Let's just do it again real quick. We can get it done in 40 or so minutes. And then like 16 minutes into it, my laptop died. Luckily, the audio saved it. So for all you people with really good ears, might be able to detect where that happened. There's a very slight hiccup, but I think I played it off like a champ. So.
Yeah, I think so. We are definitely beginners, but I think that we're doing well. So that was our very first one of those mishaps.
And now we decided we're just going to kind of wait. Jenny is a teacher, so and I am very much unemployed right now, looking for a job. So
long pause.
Yes. So I think when she is on Christmas break coming up, we're going to kind of mess around with more video stuff, editing, kind of figure all that out and kind of put it on a pause. So,
but be looking out for us on YouTube very soon.
Yeah, so this one will not be on video, but possibly our next one or the one after that for sure. So within a couple of weeks,
announced. And then we also forgot to mention that we went to Lockhart, Texas. If you follow us on Instagram, you should definitely take a look at that video and see how cool this bookstore is. It is called Happy
Haunts.
Happy Haunts.
Yeah.
It's in Lockhart, Texas, and it is such a cool, spooky bookstore. If you're ever in the Texas area, in that area specifically, it's near Austin, maybe like 30-40 minutes from Austin.
Yeah, and it's the barbecue capital of Texas. I think
It's
like every other store is like barbecue. They have signs all over town. Very like tons of, and you could be like, oh, it's the capital, it probably all sucks, it's just oversaturated. But like most of them are ranked really, really high. The one we went to, I believe she was like the top in the second or third.
Yeah, I think she was
like
the top
best
3.
barbecue in Texas. Yeah,
she got
and it was incredible.
What was that award?
She won a James Beard Award.
Yeah,
which is a pretty big honor. It's
Tell
not like a
us
Michelin
about that.
star, but it's pretty big.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie used to be a chef, so when he said that, oh my God, she got a James Beard, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool award. You're definitely being recognized for good food. So.
Yeah. So Barb's Barbecue.
Get the ribs. The ribs were insane. I'm usually a brisket guy. I like brisket. I'm not usually a big ribs person, but those ribs were out of this world.
And then Happy Haunts, I think.
Happy Haunts it was like across the square basically, but yeah, you walk in, they got a big paper mache vampire head, and you kind of go down these stairs into a basement.
It was
like a
very
dungeon.
Fitting for what our read was this week. So
it was.
We were in the midst of this vampiric book.
Yep.
And then we're going into this very spooky bookstore who has they have a whole section devoted to Stephen King. So it was really cool to get our toes wet and to get in the spooky vibes for this horror book, for my first Stephen King book.
Yeah, and I think we bought my next book there.
Yes,
right?
we did.
We bought a book, and then we bought some. A local artist made some like scratch off fortunes. We bought a couple of those, and
That's
then
sweet.
some stickers and a magnet, and
Yeah.
definitely we'll go back for sure.
Absolutely, we'll go back.
Yeah.
Super cool. Anyways,
Yeah, on to the next one. So, I guess the first thing is, Jenny gave this one last week a very, very well. I guess it's an okay score, 3.2
Medium.
out of 5. Said it felt like required reading, which I think is a bit harsh. Has it gone up slightly? Has it gone up at all? Is it still a 3.2? Is it a 5? Is it a 1? Don't leave us hanging.
okay, it's slightly gone up. I don't know if I appreciated the story or genre as much as like a Stephen King lover would have. This is the first horror book I've ever read, and this is the first Stephen King book I've ever read. My rating has gone up to a 3.5. I think that is a fair rating. I don't think it's horrible. I think that a horrible rating would be like 1.5.
Yeah,
or
and
2.
what did it get on Goodreads? I'm trying to find out what it got on Goodreads. I think it got a 4.1, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's close to the average. I thought it was so many characters. Like, I'm used to fantasy books like Crescent City. In Crescent City and in Akatar and, like, all of those that Sarah J. Maas does. In Crescent City, there's literally so many characters, and it's honestly overwhelming, but I can get down with it if it's cohesive and I can, like, do all of them at once. This one, it was within one book, and there was constant moments where I was like, who's that again? And I think the only reason why I was having that experience was because I'm not used to the way he like flipped from character to character in that third person narrative.
What I was going to say, so you mostly read books in the first person.
Yeah.
All your books are from a first person perspective, so it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And you also listen to it, which I know why it's confusing because there's just a pause. There's lots of sub-chapters within the chapter, so you don't know, like, there's just a pause, and then now he's talking about something else. So I can see why that's confusing.
But I mean,
But reading it was fine because it's like, oh, now it's a sub-chapter in this chapter. Like, no, it's switching to, like,
whenever
something
I
else.
read it, though, it doesn't say the characters' names in each sub-chapter, does it? Or did I just miss that?
No,
would've
like
been
the main
helpful.
chapters will be like Ben or the Lot, or
I know,
things-
but,
but the
like-
sub chapters don't. But it just makes it easier because when we're listening to the audio, like I listened to it in the car because we were trying to, kind of finish, and he'll just like pause for 2 seconds and then it starts like a sub chapter.
Yeah.
Whereas it'd be better if it was like, all right, chapter 2, and I'm like, okay, that part's done. We're on to this next
Yeah,
step.
that's it's just like
I think
a
it's more the
stream-
narrator.
It felt like a stream of consciousness sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's so true that you said that. Like, I don't read a lot of, I honestly cannot remember the last book that was third person like this. So,
Yeah. Well, and if anything, it's a first person view of the town.
yeah.
It's the town's first person perspective.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there was
You know?
moments when the town was like, I really did like that. And I don't want to jump too far ahead because I don't even know if that's one of our book questions. But there was this part right after we had ended our very first episode where it was like midway through the book, and it talks about the town's perspective of like all of the town's knowledge of the people and what the town sees. And I thought that was like so sinister and like kind of cool to think about like a town that way. Like the
Yeah.
only person that knows, it's not even a person, the only entity that knows the history and like things that have happened, the dark past of a place, is the town itself.
Yeah, and you even got some of those. And I mean, for those who haven't read it and are going to read it, you basically have like a normal one where it'll say like Ben, or it'll say, Mark or whoever. And the chapter, like, okay, this is from Ben's perspective. And they'll have other chapters that's just called The Lot, which is
Yeah.
short for Salem's Lot. And it's like, you'll kind of get little backstories
Yeah.
about people. It'll kind of just jump around, which I understand that is confusing if you don't know. It's switching but like to another subchapter of that chapter.
Well, and it's just like,
But yeah, you get like little bits of like knowledge
Yeah.
kind of in those Lot chapters.
and I mean, yeah, just going back to the being confused by it, just a little for me was whenever things started to happen, when things popped off and like people started turning and, and it was going from this guy to the bus driver to the guy or the lady that owns or that works at the soda fountain. And it was just like, have we even seen that person in a while? It's been like 3 chapters since we even talked to this person.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, I enjoyed it because you realize that, okay, these are essentially the people that all take over the lot and are the...
But, I mean, there is a core group, and it does stick to that pretty close. And I will say, at least in my perspective, because there were some times where I'm just like, crap, who is that person again?
Yeah.
The book did, or Stephen King, I guess, not the book. It did a good job of, like, if it was a lesser known character, it'd be like, oh, he had a long day on the bus, or a long day, and you're like, oh, okay, it's the bus driver.
Yeah,
or
sure.
like, you know what I mean? They
Absolutely.
kind of like had little breadcrumbs of like, hey, here's what this character
but
does.
It was
and
like,
okay.
this like creepy sense of like community, which like I know that that's a big part of it because it is talking about Salem's Lot, which is like a community. But it was very like, oh, we're all one, big ole
Yep.
messed up community. But anyways, okay, what was your rating? Has it changed, Mr.
So
4?
I said it was a 4. I'd still say it's a 4. I think it went up for me. I think the second half was really good.
4.2?
Yeah, 4.1, 4.2. Probably right in line with what it is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking now, 4.1, 4.2. I liked the beginning of the book. I thought it was great. I loved the world building of the town. I felt like I was moving in, pulling up in my U-Haul truck, unloading it, moving into a house, getting to know the townspeople. And then the second half is just, basically right after we finished last week, maybe like the next chapter, it really is just like
immediately
breakneck speed. Things are happening.
Yeah.
They're running around town, like all this stuff. So it almost felt a little too fast, maybe.
Yeah.
But I really liked it. We had to go to a birthday party earlier, and I wish I could have kept reading because
yeah,
it was like really getting good.
Mm-hmm. So, as a Stephen King reader, how does this live up to some of his other books? This was book number 2 that he wrote
right
after Carrie.
Yep. I'd put it up there. I don't know if it's like my favorite still. I think my favorite would still be The Gunslinger or The Stand.
Mm-hmm.
The Gunslinger is a whole series, so which I haven't finished. So I got a book for, but that's something else. But I'd say The Stand is probably my favorite, and that's like I think that was made in the 80s or the 90s. So he had been a writer for a while, and I'm trying to think The Green Mile would be up there too. I think that one's really good.
Yeah.
I did like this.
Did
though.
you feel like it was like early Stephen King? Did
Yeah,
you feel
definitely.
like he wasn't fully refined like he is as an established, very popular, accredited author now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was that's a good way to put it. I think he just wasn't as refined. I do like it. I thought it was really good.
As far as endings go,
the ending was great. I mean, I had a couple of like lingering questions, but I liked the ending.
I did too.
Yeah,
I
thought it was
enjoyed
good.
the
It was very fitting.
balance.
It kind of, which we can save that, but I did like the ending. It almost, well, we'll save it because there is kind of a question that almost ties into it that kind of made me like, I kind of liked what he did with like what he was saying and like dead towns and things like that. It's kind of like, oh, is this every dead town you go through? It makes you like, now I'm going to be like, oh, maybe there's vampires here.
Yeah,
you know what
right.
I mean?
Don't
like,
stop there for gas.
Yeah, so I did like that, and I think that kind of still makes it hold up. Is like, there's town. I mean, I don't know if they just like disappear overnight, but there's plenty of towns across the country that are just ghost towns.
It creates that uncanny valley a little bit, where it's just like, I don't know, like the unknown and like the quiet dark space.
Yeah.
Very creepy. There was a couple of moments, I cannot even remember the exact moments, but I was just like, ooh, that's creepy. And it gave me like chills for a second. I'm like, I've never experienced that with a book. Usually it's like
there's
goosebumps.
quite a few, yeah. And it's like, it's one of those things too I was thinking about earlier after I'd finished, because I read The Shining for the first time at Halloween this year, and I think that book lived up so much in my brain, because it's like everyone talks about how scary it is, and same with this one, like I've heard how scary it is, and then even in like Friends, Joey puts The Shining in the freezer and all that stuff. And then you read it, and I'm like, oh my god, I just feel bad for Jack, for Torrance, it's totally all I'd ever seen was the movie, and it's so different from the movie, and you're just like, oh my god, I just feel so sad for this family.
Yeah, he was like a really dark soul.
Yeah, and he just got like overcome by this hotel. But I mean, that's a different book, but it was kind of the same with this one. Like, and I guess maybe I'm jaded, and I am a horror fan, so I love horror movies. But like, I didn't think it was just like, oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to go outside tonight. Like, but there are definitely parts where I'm like, oh, that's, this is getting creepy. This
Yeah.
is getting spooky for sure.
Yeah, I was not like overcome with fright.
Yeah. But in the 70s, this probably was like, damn, this is a scary book. Oh my
Yeah.
God,
Yeah, for sure. When there was like a lot of moments where it was like, oh, that's creepy.
Because even my
Why
mom
would-
said that. She's like, oh, I couldn't look out a window for a week when I read that book. When
That's
I was a
what she
teenager.
meant. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I forgot that she said that.
Yep.
Shout out to Cruz.
Yep. Big Chris.
Anyways, okay, so
Yeah, let's move on to some questions.
let's do it.
Let's see. First one we got here. Why did the author put the end of the story in the epilogue? After all, it does give away some of the ending. Which this is more the prologue, right?
Yeah, I think maybe that's what they meant by that.
Misspelling. Why did they put kind of the end of the story in the prologue?
I think to maybe give us.
I did read the
somebody-
prologue, by the way.
Yeah, if you listen, as you should have, if you listen to the first part, we learned that Charlie has never read a prologue before. And that is just wrong because now he knows that you need to. It's not like the author's just like cute little story and thank yous to his supporters. It's important to the actual story. I thought it was really, I thought it was just like giving us a hero, which he talks about in his, about the book, like the little interview that is in the book with Stephen King. I think it kind of gave us somebody to cheer for and some hope because everybody else essentially turns. But it also was just like he was very vague, so you didn't know exactly who it was. I mean, it was kind of obvious with Ben Mears being like the main.
Yeah, and going back and reading it after the halfway, it's like, okay, I definitely know who the kid is. But
yes.
Yeah, I don't get it either because reading the ending, I mean, like spoilers, but you've made it this far, so you're here for the spoilers.
Yeah.
Like, the Barlow dies, and then they leave after, and I was like, wait, what? But the prologue, they come back.
Yeah.
So I was like, I mean, that's what I was waiting for the whole time. I thought they were like Barlow's gonna do something, that he was gonna get away, and I was like, okay, now we got to go back and finish him off. But like, they kill him, and then they go back and basically set the town on fire. So
Like,
like,
why
it
didn't you just
definitely
do
did
that?
give the book away, like the ending away a bit. But I thought more of like, oh, they lost.
Yeah, that's what
And
I
now
thought
they're
too.
gonna go back. Yeah.
I was for sure like they didn't end up getting him.
Yeah.
And so they have to go back and finish him for good. But I don't know. I feel like, I think, maybe I'm making this up, but there's been a vampire story, I thought, where it was like, when you kill, oh no, it was just like a monster story. But like when you kill the big boss monster.
I know what you're gonna say because I was thinking about this too.
Then all of the other ones die.
Yeah, his little underlings that he turned died.
Yeah.
I thought that too, but
I
maybe
was
not.
like-
That might be just that thing we saw together.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what it was.
I don't either. But it was like a monster, scenario where it's like all of his underlings like died along with him.
Yeah.
However, they really preluded to that not happening, but they didn't ever see anybody. There
No.
was all of the news clippings.
Yeah, because the epilogue, it's like Ben's clippings that he's been finding, and now they're just like finding like just destroyed sheep and like all these other animals, and
Yeah.
people are like moving to the town still, but they keep hearing weird noises at night, so they're like leaving.
Yeah.
Not too long after moving in. and-
Somebody like drove through the town, like a family drove through the town, and their car, like there was like a car crash, and all of them were missing, but there was like blood everywhere. So clearly that's like somebody attacked their car and bloodlust. But yeah, so it seems like obviously he wanted to give us some sort of hero to root for, or like, okay, there's someone that will get out of this. And
Well, two people, but yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. And like, I have nothing against Mark. I think that he was a really great character, really cool like kid. I just think it was a little bit crazy, the expectation that Ben put on his shoulders. Like, I thought it was kind of weird that he kept like being like, you have to do this with me. Like he
It
was
was like a trauma bond. I mean, they're the only ones left.
I
They started with a
guess.
small crew, and then it's just them.
But he's like,
And he
he's
knew
like
like
12.
he knew the knowledge of like he had read the
lore.
lore, so he knew like some of this stuff. But yeah, like
I guess you're right, but then it's like,
it is pretty effed up. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I guess if anything-
he saw some things for sure.
yeah, he's gonna be a little messed up.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the next one.
Yeah, so Salem's Lot is a very long novel. If you had to cut it in half by or not cut it in half, if you had to cut it by a third, what would you leave out? For me, nothing. I loved it.
I thought that the world building was really important. Don't get me wrong. I thought that
I'd take out the whole first half, and it'd be just the second half.
But like what Charlie was saying was, like we recorded last week at literally the halfway point, and then that next day, the next chapter, so much happened.
Yeah,
and it's
breakneck
just like
speed.
I think that I'm not saying I want him to move anything out. I just wish that he would have moved some of the happenings up a couple of chapters. Like that could have happened instead in placeholder of maybe a little bit of like the arguing with Suzanne and Ann Norton, like arguing about how Ben Mears is a bad guy, and it's just like there was also a bunch of like things that he told us that didn't end up amounting to anything, and it's like, or is this just like possible paths that our brains could take? So like, for example, like all of the prequel story of Ben losing his first wife, it's like, is it because Stephen King wanted to like paint him as this like possible villain? Do you think that's why he did that? Like to make us question our hero?
I think he's just giving him a backstory. I mean, but yeah, I don't know.
I know, or like
I said that last week. Like, it seems too perfect that he just shows up. Like, maybe he has. So maybe, but
then all of like the Marston house.
Marston.
I know I can't pronounce that, but
an I in there.
Yeah, but like all of that, like I think that it made it creepy, but it didn't ever explain.
Well, it did. He was his like first familiar, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. Because Straker says that when he hangs Mark up, he's like, "This is where This is where my master hung his first consort to kill him, like whatever." And then he hung Straker in the same place. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, yeah. I didn't.
That's why you don't listen to books; you read them.
I missed a very crucial part. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that all checked out, and that kind of makes more sense because then you're like, oh, like maybe he was getting kids for.
Yeah.
Barlow or something.
Also,
or doing, I don't know, you know.
We're like totally just jumping around, but
we are. We can stick to. I mean, we didn't jump around too much.
Yeah, but I wanted to say though.
Oh yeah, if you had to cut by a third, you didn't. We did kind of veer off from cut by a third.
The answer is yes, in my opinion. No in Charlie's, and I personally think.
I know, but what would you leave out is the question.
Okay, I guess not cut out. That's my. I don't think that you should cut anything out. I just think that maybe we could have like sped up some of the happenings. Like I think that halfway for everything to go down was crazy. Also, October 6th is my birthday, and that's when everything went down.
Like, wow, where were you? October 6th, 1975.
What year?
1975. Where were you, Jenny?
I was not even a thought yet.
Yeah,
so.
Sure, buddy. Sure, vampire.
But
yeah, I don't think I'd cut anything out. I thought it was all great. I loved the first part, getting to know the townspeople. It made me like care for them, and then when someone turned, I was like, oh no.
We lost another one.
Yeah, lost another like great character. So
yeah,
I thought it was great. I'm trying to think of, like anything at all, like, but a whole third of the book, like that's what I'm like, a third is too much. Like. Yeah, you could have maybe like left out a little bit here and there, but like a whole third of the book, I don't think so.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I just wish that they would have I wish that he would have maybe just reeled in the timeline a little bit of when a lot of the dark stuff happens. I think that could have happened a little quicker.
Kind of dispersed it out a little bit more. Salt and peppered it out.
So why did Ben insist on making Mark fight with him? That's something... I was just talking about.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that. I think it's just because of the lore. You know what I mean? I think he knew he was part of the group. I mean, and like... I
think what you said too, survivors.
Parents get fucking murdered, like right in front of him. Like...
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? Be like, all right, go home. And just Ben was probably just like, no, he needs to stay with me.
Yeah, for sure. But then it's just like... Well, there was a point whenever it was him and Jimmy, the
Him and Jimmy, yeah. And then he sees Jimmy die too.
I know,
I mean,
but
he's
like,
just so.
he should have. I get why he didn't stay with Ben, because like that's the house where his parents died, where Ben was making all those steaks that they didn't even freaking use. By the way, like they
Yeah, he
barely
had to make 300.
Yeah,
just
they
there
like
for days just making steaks.
I know, and then they just burnt them. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I had another thought too. Is like,
Sorry
why
to
didn't they
spoil
stay? I mean, I know Matt had to be at the hospital, but like, why didn't they all stay at the church?
I know. I
And
know.
that'd be my first place to go.
I know.
Because vampires can't go to church.
I know. Right? Well, like instead they just like douse themselves. Well, because they're trying to kill
Well,
them.
they did douse them in holy water, but
Yeah, but anyways, okay. So we think that it's because trauma bonding. Is that what you
trauma.
said?
Yeah, he saw 3 people die horrifically.
Yeah.
I probably would have done the same. And like, no, I mean, I don't know if it been like, you're gonna kill him with me. Like that's intense. But like, I'd be like, no, you need to stay with me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what you're gonna do by yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, even whenever
And
he was going,
very upset, like angry, like he wanted to kill Barlow.
Yeah, that's
and he probably
fair.
would have done something stupid.
At the end, though, he was just a scared little boy, though. I don't want to. No.
I don't know. He's kind of a badass. Spits right in his face. Says he's gonna kill him.
I know.
Pretty badass.
Yeah, but at the
For a
end,
12-year-old.
he was like begging him not to go.
Well, yeah, he was very. I mean, who wouldn't? He's very scared.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, the teacher in me was like, oh, let him stay in the car. What are you doing? And then he was like trying to get him all riled up.
Yeah.
It even said, I feel like a horrible coach.
Oh, yeah, I felt like a coach. Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah. So, has your favorite character changed, and did they end up making it out alive?
well, the cop was a coward, so that changed.
I don't know. Is he?
I mean, if I was a cop
Like,
for like a
sure.
small town, I'd be like, this is way more than I signed up for.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm
they'd already
out
set
to-
that up because he was doing the bare minimum. He's a small town cop, like we said last week, kind of like Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
He's not doing much.
For sure.
And then half the town is vampires now. Like, no, I'm not getting paid enough for this.
I think it's funny when
I'm
he's
not a
like,
hero.
my partner is probably going to do really well as a vampire. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's kind of funny, like, his, like, I don't
Yeah.
know, just complete acceptance and, like, very calm, like, well, I'm going.
Yeah, and like
I'll be
Parkins isn't
going.
even really in this. I mean, he is a little bit, but not very much. But yeah, he makes it out. Matt did not, but luckily he did not get turned.
No,
he just had another heart attack. And
Died of natural causes. I just thought it was funny. The student that, like, was visiting, who he died amongst, there was like a student visiting him, and he couldn't remember the name of the student, so it was he kept calling him Wilbur or
It was like Harold or Wilbur or something. Yeah.
no, it was an H name. I think you're right, but
Yeah.
Harry or Henry, and it just kept saying the 2 names that his name could be. I thought that was hilarious. Just
Yeah.
like I did appreciate little moments of like that, because there was a lot of those kind of moments where he like really put a lot of thought into like.
Yeah. Yeah, and we talked about that as well. Sorry, guys, we do talk a lot about the books before the podcast, so I say that all the time, I know. But just real quick, Weasel got turned, did not make it out. Also not very much in the second part, but
Yeah, I don't even know what happened to him.
he just got turned, man. And then he
He
turned
just
Eva.
like disappeared,
Yeah.
and I think he was like in the closet, maybe.
That happened to a lot of people, though. They just kind of show up and they're just done. So.
Yeah.
But going back to what you kind of just said, those like cool moments, like we both talked about how we loved when they were going into Barlow's house and Father Callahan, the priest, he like just like punches the wall and was like, I command these spirits to leave, and then like lightning flashes and like a white flash and like smoke, and the lock just like falls off the door, and he's like, oh my god, that's the coolest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, that's like
like,
one of those like
yeah.
real people moments.
Yeah.
And I think I really appreciate those, because it really like does, like, obviously this is fiction, but it makes it feel like
Yeah.
nonfiction.
Yeah, and by the end I was like, oh, I mean, because Callahan was like kind of in the beginning, but way more in the second part. I'm like, I really like Father Callahan. Like he's a good character.
I know. Yeah.
You know?
And we don't know what happened to him, but I'm hoping that he survived. I mean, that's one of those situations where it's like, I guess, I don't know, choose your own adventure.
Yeah, which kind of, I mean, we do have that question. What do you think happened to Father Callahan? Because
Well, I personally thought that he was supposed to be the new familiar.
yeah,
Because it talks so much about, like, Barlow talks to him about how how old his own god is, this like satanic god of vampires, and how, the Christian god is like very young in comparison.
Yeah.
And I think that it was like this like very sacrilegious moment where like he wanted to take that power of religion away from him,
Which he was already kind of on the fence about, it seemed like. He didn't really
Yeah,
like the way the new church was going. And
well, he was an alcoholic, and he
Yeah.
seemed really depressed in life itself, and it almost felt like this like moment of clarity and like validation whenever all of this power was rendered to him from God.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, I guess it is real, like, which is
Well-
messed up as like a perspective from a priest.
Yeah, and to go back, like, so he didn't get bit. Barlow made him drink his blood.
So familiar, right? Like we think
We don't
it's,
know. That's what we don't. Yeah, like they did mention that like he was now marked, so the other vampires would not bite him. So I don't know if that just means he's marked, if he is now a vampire, if he's a familiar.
I think it
Because then
means-
he just dipped out of town too, kind of like Gillespie,
yeah.
and nothing really like he got on a bus. He paid the bus driver like $30, which in 75 is like outrageous amount of money, to get him like a pint of liquor. Didn't seem repulsed by it, but did say he had this like sickeningly sweet taste in his mouth he couldn't get out.
Of
And
Barlow's blood.
yeah, and then that's it. So like
And that was the last we heard
that's what
from
we learned.
him.
So he got out and I guess went to New York,
But
and Barlow's dead. So
what if he's like the new? Okay, it's either
that was
familiar.
my thought. Was like he's the new Barlow. Maybe.
He's the new like master, big head honcho vampire.
Yeah.
Because the venom got put. Whenever he bites, the others just turn into a regular like, kind of crony like vampire that's very bloodthirsty, very zombie like.
Yes.
But because he seems so self-aware, also he was affected by the sunlight. It talked
Was
about,
he?
yeah, that's why he gave the bus driver $30 to go get him an alcoholic beverage. Sorry for saying that such a square, but he gave him $30 so he would go get him booze, because he talked about
What,
like
the sun? I guess I don't remember.
Yeah.
That part. I remember being on the bus. I remember saying the sun hurt him.
yeah, that's why he
Well,
couldn't
then he
get
must be a
off.
vampire then, because Straker could go in the sunlight.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Oh, I guess I just missed something.
All right. Goodbye, Father.
Yeah.
Do you still feel like the book holds up today? We kind of talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but
Yeah, they got better about,
The
everyone was
Jubies?
starting to turn into vampires, so they really didn't talk very much about gay people.
yeah.
No, I thought that it was really good. I thought that it was a little controversial just in like the language, but I thought that it was like, you made really good points about these like kind of misogynistic guys that were really annoying me at the beginning, and it
Yeah.
kind of, you really made a great point about how you think that was Stephen King's intention, and I just guess I got so sucked in, which I mean that's the point of books, that I did end up hating those characters because of like the way that they like were talking and like acting,
Right.
which was the point. And we talked about evil, and I think that like just like the way that some of the people in town behaved, and how times have changed so much over the last 20 years for that town, and how it seems to be getting more dark, I just think that was like part of the plot. I think that as far as it holding up today, I mean, I think that so like the idea of like vampires in like an Americanized town, like the American dream, but like being taken over by Transylvanian kind of like traditional vampires. I think overall that's like a really cool concept. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it still holds up today. I mean, obviously, if you get past like we talked about last week, the party lines and some of the outdated terminology, I guess. It's like I said before, it's going to make me, every time we go through some little creepy, 300-person town that you just fly through in the country. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe this is Vampire Town,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Kind
Who
of
knows?
Yeah, it'll always be in the back of my mind,
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I thought it was good. I think that it's one of those like kind of ageless horrors, just like a lot of his other stories are very popular today. I do think that this is one that we don't hear as much about. So I'm excited that we got to experience it together. But yeah.
Yes. Back to Chris. Do you look at windows the same way?
I know. I was about to say I want to talk about the windows.
Did they change you?
A little. Just like it was really creepy the way that to imagine them on the outside of that window, like crawled up the side of the building like
and scratching on it.
Yeah.
Let me in.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like it talks about the eyes being like able to like kind of take over their minds a little bit. Like if you make eye contact with the vampires, they can like suck you in.
Or not hallucinate, hypnotize you.
Yeah. And then kind of like this like seductive nature. But yeah, no, it was pretty creepy. I think I'll be okay, but I really liked at the very end there was like this. So it talks about the snow globe that that Ben stole from the Marston. Did I do it right that time? Marston house?
Yeah, I think that's one when he was a kid.
Yeah, whenever he like snuck in on that dare. And it talks about it at the very end when he goes back to this town and gets his when he gets his story from the hotel room in this hotel that he hasn't been in months, and he picks up the snow globe and he looks at it and he thinks he sees like a hand creeping around to the window.
Yeah, like opening the shutters.
In the little gingerbread house that's in the snow globe, opening the shutters, all creepy.
Mm-hmm.
That part really freaked me out, and it made me think of the movie It, which I've never read the It books, but maybe
one day.
What's that?
I said maybe one day.
Yeah, I would. I
That's
really
a big
would
one,
like
though.
to.
That might be like a
Halloween
3 or 4 parter. It's like 1,200 pages.
Yeah, but I thought of the scenes where the kids would like kind of hallucinate a little bit, like what the demon like clown wanted them to see.
Yeah.
So in that scene, I was just like, "Ooh, that's so that's really spooky."
That's spooky.
Well, just like in a snow globe, and it also made me think of Krampus.
That's what I was gonna say. It made me think of Krampus. Yeah.
Yeah.
The snow globe at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. If you've never seen Krampus, you should watch it. Hopefully,
it's a classic. I want to watch it before Christmas is over.
Yeah.
It's one of my new favorites.
Yeah. But anyways, no, I think I'm okay on windows. I just think if I ever hear somebody scratching on the windows, I'm gonna make a cross
run out of the room and scream.
Make a cross out of popsicle sticks or something.
Yeah, and I mean, I have a couple opinions about this. I mean, who sleeps with their windows not closed or covered by something?
Yeah.
Maybe I've just always been a scared kid, but like I always close my drapes or the blinds, like whatever. I wouldn't, even on the second, third floor. I don't care. They're getting closed 100% of the time.
Couldn't agree more.
And second of all, I don't know if I'm gonna be like nervous, but like every now and then, maybe late night, if I'm playing games in my office, I have a window next to me. I might close them a little bit.
Yeah.
Be a little creeped out.
Yeah. I don't want to see what's outside.
Yeah.
There's nothing for me out there. We're on the third floor.
Not at this time of night. No way.
Yeah. No way, Jose.
Nope.
No lingering shadows or scratching nails. Anyways.
Yeah. So I think our final question, and I think it'll happen with one person, and we both talked about it. But the question is, how do the vamps get in without being invited? Because they do have to be invited in. That's like the big thing. They come up to your window and they're like, unlock the window, let me in. And if you invite a vampire in, they can now come in whenever they want. You've invited them into your home.
Yeah.
But was it the McDougalls? Was that their last name? The baby.
Yeah. With the baby.
Sandy, Randy, and Roy, I believe. And
baby Randy.
Sandy wakes up. Roy, who isn't like...
That's the husband.
Sorry, Randy, who isn't like, like he's a baby. He can't speak. He's like 9 months old, maybe. I think they said he's less than a year.
Yeah.
Even at a year or 2 years, like he can't talk. He can't understand and be like, sure, come on in. Sandy woke up. And it was like late, so she knew something was weird. Went to his room, the window was open, and he was just like thrown into a corner upside down, like dead.
Yeah.
And then he became a vampire, but it's like, how did the vampire get in?
I know that window was closed.
Yes.
So that begs the question, how did somebody get invited in by
Yeah, they never talked about it.
Baby Randy? Yeah, no, and I don't know. I mean, maybe...
Well, my first thought was, oh, maybe Roy is a vampire, but then like a chapter later, he like burned dinner and then stormed out and left.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't him. Sandy wasn't a vampire at that point.
No.
So,
There was like a little bit of a...
But that was the only time where I was like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, no, I know. Another thing, which we didn't really talk about it, but there was this moment when Suzanne, whenever the moment that I heard that Suzanne was going to go into the house by herself, because she was like, we keep going around the hill about this, I'm just going to directly address the issue. I'm going to go up to Stryker's house with like a flimsy fence post, and
yeah, could not. That was so dumb.
In my car when I was listening to it on the way to work, I was like, "You dumb bitch." Excuse my
100%.
French, but I was just like, "No, she's gonna obviously die. Like this is the moment."
Yeah.
But then that's when we see her meet Mark,
Yep.
and sweet Mark, smart Mark, was like, "That's not gonna kill them, you dummy." Like she's like, "You're a child, what are you doing here?"
Well, and then she did end up dying anyway, like
yes, but
not
then
long after.
That was another part where they were like, Ben, did you like sleep with her? You have to kill her because you're basically her husband. I'm like, this is dumb. Like that was the one part where I was just like,
I don't know the lore, so yeah, I don't know.
well, and that's the other thing.
If you
like,
turn into a vampire, though, I'm definitely gonna kill you.
Well, Matt, the teacher, he likes, because he was like unable to help them physically, he like read all these books.
Yeah.
And so like there's so much lore about it, apparently, but he wasn't even the one that said that he had to, or no, maybe he did. You're right.
He did.
And then they went and, yeah, you're right. Which, like, I wonder why. Maybe because it has something to do with her soul, which I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe she loves him. It belongs to, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, that's fair. I did think that it was cool, like, all of these aspects of, like, vampire lore, but I do wish that it would have, like, given us more backstory on that.
Right.
In balance with all of the backstory on this town and people that we didn't really need to know everything about. Like, I didn't need to know like 6 of the people that died and turned to vampires. I like truly, and like he devoted like maybe 40 pages to like those 5 characters that were kind of like a hand toss of, you know what I mean? Like they just didn't feel as significant. I understand the sense of like foreboding that they created, but it also felt like, you know, what would be so great is some more information about this lore, you know?
Sure, yeah.
Anyways,
I get
overall, really.
Overall, would you recommend it to people if they liked scary books?
Yeah, if they like scary books, absolutely, I would. You
gonna recommend it to your friends?
No, I think that they're more. I mean,
no,
I have
definitely not.
I have a couple of people actually. You know, a lot of my friends are big into fantasy. I'm talking about like some of my family that like reads more like thrillers and horror. So if they've never read horror, no, I probably wouldn't recommend it. Just like this is my first book exposed to this genre. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Maybe I picked a bad first Stephen King book.
What's that?
Maybe I picked a bad first
No,
Stephen
I
King
thought
book.
it was good. Does he do any that have a different perspective than third person?
Yeah.
Okay, well, see, I didn't know if that was like his style.
No, I mean, I think my first one, like I said, was Green Mile, which is very different. It's more
I wanna
magical
read-
realism. And yeah,
I wanna read
I'll have you read that one.
Yeah. No, and I thought this one was
next,
really
so.
spooky. I was not expecting the third person. I think that was my only turn off with it. But I did enjoy his beautiful writing style. Like, truly, he was a really, really great wordsmith. Like, the
Yeah.
He just said a lot of really cool things. Very poetic.
Okay.
Sometimes it felt a little bit too much, but then other times I'm like, no, like that was really a cool way that he put that, and I've never heard an author do that before. So
Nice. Okay.
yeah.
Well, I think that's gonna put an end. We're gonna put a bow on this. We're
Yeah.
all done. We're all done with Salem's Lot.
Stake through the heart.
Yep. Stake to the heart. It's finished. It's over. Never again.
Never again.
No.
Goodbye.
Maybe in a few years I'll read it.
Yeah,
again.
maybe when we forget.
But so now it's time to swap again.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, this one is good. So I read this book when I was in middle school, maybe a freshman. I remember it creeping me out when I was younger.
Oh,
but it is a
good.
Dean Koontz book, and it's called The Watchers.
Ooh.
So it's another creepy book, but I think it's also good because it has a really good. It's kind of good versus evil, like
Yeah.
a classic good versus. It's not vampires. It's a classic good versus evil. It is a little more updated. It's not in the 70s. I'll read.
Well, should I judge it first?
You want to judge it first? Yeah, I mean the cover is great.
I mean, it's a dog standing on the word "watchers" that is
Yep.
kind of
Some
glowing
twigs
green.
behind them, and yeah,
It's got a
glowing
bunch
yellow.
of branches, and I have.
So what is
been-
this about, Jenny?
Well, I mean, you kind of told me
I did tell you.
a little bit. He preluded it to being about aliens, and there's a good alien, and there's a bad alien, and the good alien is in the form of a dog. He like goes into the body of a dog, and then the bad alien is like wreaking havoc and trying to destroy humanity. So I know it's about a dog. I'm excited to see how the perspective, like that we were just talking about, like first person.
Yeah, and I can't remember. I mean, I'm not giving anything away because it's a big part of the book. I can't remember. So the dog's name is Einstein in the book, and I can't
Cute.
remember if it goes to the dog's point of view because he's like an intelligent alien.
Yeah.
Or if he can telepathically talk to like his owner. I can't remember if that's
I forgot about there's obviously
if that how it
an
works, or if
owner.
it's just the dog like, no, stupid, we need to go here because
Yeah.
this thing's gonna kill. I can't remember that, but
Yeah.
it's really good.
Okay.
And I will read the back for you.
Please.
So, they escaped from a secret government. Two mutant creatures, both changed utterly from the animals they once were, and no one who encounters them will ever be the same again. A lonely widower, a ruthless assassin, a beautiful woman, a government agent, drawn together in a deadly hunt, all four are inexorably propelled towards a confrontation with an evil beyond human imagining.
Oh my.
Wow.
I mean,
The stakes are high in this one.
I'm genuinely, I love the idea of reading a book about aliens, so I'm excited. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I am a little bummed because I need some romance as well.
Well, our next.
What?
Well, no, wait. I think one of our buddy books should be. It's another Stephen King, but it has a love story, and it's supposed to be good. The 11/22/63.
Yeah, but that's
It's like
not for
time
a
travel
while.
love story. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So it wouldn't be for a bit.
The-
But we're gonna be doing Onyx Storm here soon, so you'll be. Oh, yeah, sorry, spoilers for our future episodes, guys.
Yeah, but I mean, I also am reading my own books on my free time. I'm gonna be starting Zodiac Academy. I got the physical book, so I'll be doing that while listening to The Watchers. So I'm
Nice.
pretty psyched about starting that series. So
I think
even if I
you'll
get-
like it. It's a good one.
I'm genuinely really excited about something different and with a different author. I like Stephen King. I'm just glad that it's not all going to be Stephen King
Yeah.
from you. So I'm really excited about that.
Of course.
Okay, and now I am
Yeah, so
having
this is what
Charlie-
I'll be reading.
Yes, I'm having Charlie read a book called Butcher and Blackbird. It's by Bren Weaver, and I have done the first and second book of this series. It's one of those series that you don't have to read them consecutively, and like it's just set in the same world. So it's a novel, in my opinion, the most novel thing I can suggest to you.
Nice.
So based on the cover, what do you think it's about?
Well, and you kind of told me.
But
We're really bad
describe
about
it.
this game that we made that we just tell each other.
Well, I guess on the next one we need to be better.
Yeah, so you had told me it's kind of about two serial killers that kill bad people and they fall in love. I mean, you can kind of tell from the cover it's like chainsaws and two people kissing
What
and
color is it?
black and pink.
Yeah, it's so cute. It's like got skulls and
Yep.
cleavers and weapons all over it.
I gotta say, I'm not super excited about this, but we'll see how my opinions change.
You're gonna love
I'm
it.
sure I will. Yeah. I mean, it's only like 300 pages, so it's not,
It's so short.
isn't super long. Yeah. So we'll see. This one, and this isn't going to be a two-parter. This is just going to be a one-parter because we were going to try to do a holiday book as well for Christmas. So.
And this is like the most horror book I've read, like the most in theme for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Like the closest thing to what I think that you'd like, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe not.
We'll
Maybe
see.
you like fantasy more or sci-fi, but
Yeah.
this has got some horror aspects, and it's kind of like a comedy. Like it's a little bit cynical and funny. Okay, go ahead and I'll read the back of the book. All right, so every serial killer needs a friend. Every game must have a winner. When a chance encounter sparks an unlikely bond between rival murderers Sloane and Rowan, they find something elusive. The friendship of two like-minded pitch-black souls who just happen to enjoy killing other serial killers. From small-town West Virginia to upscale California, and from downtown Boston to rural Texas, the two hunters collide in an annual game of blood and suffering, one that pits them against the most dangerous monsters in the country. But as their friendship develops into something more, the restless ghosts left in their wake are only a few steps behind, ready to claim more than just their newfound love. Can Rowan and Sloane dig themselves out of a game of graves, or have they finally met their match?
Wow.
I mean, it's so good.
Yep. We'll see. We will see.
Yeah.
Jennifer.
I can't wait for you guys to find out if he
Yep.
hated it or just was so obsessed. He's gonna
read it or leave it.
Yeah, read it or leave it. No, you're gonna love it. All right. Well,
Okay. Well, I think we're going to end it here. So make sure to check us out on Instagram at Not My Usual Read.
yeah.
Um,
Like and subscribe to our podcast.
please like and subscribe, comment, whatever you want.
Yeah, whenever
no
you
mean
subscribe,
comments.
it'll notify you whenever one of our new episodes are out. So please definitely do that so you
Yeah.
know when we've released one.
Yeah, drop some ratings, drop some comments about what you like, what you didn't like. Maybe some, some book
Recs?
ideas for us. Yeah, some book recommendations. So, yeah, I think until next time, happy reading.
Happy reading.
Bye.